I'm Elizabeth Henson. Welcome to the Messy Success Podcast, where I'm helping creative dreamers and overachievers tackle business and life. After 6 years of being my own boss, I finally unraveled a tiny bit of what it takes to survive in this amazing world of being an overly creative entrepreneur. I'm your business bestie, here to help you with all those big ideas and to normalize some of the day-to-day struggles that we all share. My mission is simple. I want more women to make a living doing what they love and to feel good about themselves in the process. The best way to start? We can't do it alone. So welcome. I hope you'll hang out with me here where it's totally okay to be messy. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 9. Today, we are going to be talking about productivity and how to 5x your productivity in your business and gain momentum. And let me tell you, you're going to be a little surprised by this. But first of all, I wanted to say thank you. We surpassed 1,000 downloads last week at the 4-week mark, which I have no idea if that's great or not great in the comparison of the podcast world, but I don't care. I am so grateful for each and every one of you that are actually listening and giving me all the feedback and then sharing on Instagram. I love it, and my heart is so full, and it makes me so excited to show up for you guys every Thursday and share with you. So thank you. I definitely did a little happy dance for that milestone, and I'm just so glad you're here. So let's keep it going, right? All right, so productivity. People like to pronounce that word differently. I don't know. And I am definitely not a productivity queen. I feel like I am more of a hot mess in recovery, making improvements. Like I'm a rehabilitated hot mess. That's what I am. This is why I have a podcast called the Messy Success Podcast, because my business, my office, my mind is so messy compared to what I feel like other creative women look like on the outside looking in. The beautiful office spaces, the perfectly decorated homes, the drinks by the pool. That is not my life at all. I mean, even down to the office, my office space is not clean. I really do hope it will be one day, honestly. I just looked around as I said that. I really hope one day it will be picture perfect, but right now it's not. Right now, I'm a mom with 2 kids, and sometimes I'm amazed that I accomplish what I do. And I know I've told you guys a little bit about my schedule. So my girls go to daycare every day from 9:30 to 1. Now, there's a lot of variation in their schedule. So my parents or my husband's mom will help me 1 or 2 afternoons a week. So 1 or 2 afternoons a week, I definitely work a little bit longer, till about 3. But for the most part, what I can rely on is that 9:30 to 1 time frame, Monday through Friday. Everything else is week by week. It's a little different. My schedule's never always the same, but that's it. And by the time I drop them off and pick them up, we're talking 2 hours and 45 minutes that I get 100% uninterrupted. That's when I do the podcast recording. That's when I do anything that really requires my uninterrupted brain. I will get up in the morning sometimes. Like I said in a different episode, I prefer to get up at 6. And honestly, since I started working out, that has not been happening. I don't know if I'm just a little bit more tired, but I have not been able to get up as early as I would like recently. And it's okay. Like I said, it's imperfect and it's messy, but we get everything done, right? And I think that it's pretty amazing being a mom of 2 kids. The amount that I do get done, I kind of shock myself, right? I have a successful wedding photography business, and all my clients get their images back in 1 week for a session or less, and 2 weeks or less for a wedding. Now, of course, my contract allows more than that because you always want to be prepared for an emergency. But in the 6 years that I've been in business, it has never taken longer than 15 days to get a wedding back. And that 15 days was after a triple wedding weekend. Everything else has been 2 weeks or less for weddings, 1 week or less for sessions. And I'm not saying that to brag by any means. I don't want any of this episode to sound like any of this is easy, because it's certainly not. easy. There's nothing about my situation that is easy. Now, I have been working to give myself more ease, more flexibility, and more breathing room. I'm working on that. Like I said, I'm a rehabilitated, no idea what I'm doing Hot Mess Express, right? But I'm making those strides. In the last episode, I talked about how I'm making the change and getting fitness back in my life. And that's part of our productivity. Productivity is not just business, it's everything that we can get done throughout the day. So I have my wedding photography business. I have just started this podcast. I run a creative network in Hampton Roads that has just begun that I've been telling you guys about as well. I have done some online masterminds. There's just a lot of other passions that I have in my business, right? It's not just the wedding photography business, but I'm sharing all of that because it is so important for me that my wedding photography business still thrives. So even though I'm taking on the podcast and even though I'm taking on other things, my wedding photography business has not suffered and my clients are still getting the amazing customer service that they always have because that is so incredibly important to me. But like I said, it's not easy. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how I've made some of these changes and how I'm able to run my multi-passionate business in essentially less than 3 hours a day, uninterrupted. Now, like I said, don't get confused. I work a little in the morning. I will work in the evenings if I have to, but that big, meaty task is always done during that 2.5 to 3 hour time frame. So the first thing that has made such a difference, and this surprises people, and it surprised myself, is hiring help. Now, I know that we think about outsourcing and we think about a dollar sign. Well, I cannot afford someone to help me edit right now. I can't afford a virtual assistant right now. That was exactly what I was saying to myself. If we're living paycheck to paycheck, how am I supposed to bring on somebody to help me? But I did it a little bit at the time. And this is what is crazy. Of course, hiring a VA or a web designer or a brand designer, of course, those things gave me more time. But what I didn't see coming was that the accountability piece was so huge for me. I am super accountable to myself and I show up for my clients, but I'd always been really loosey-goosey with my own passion projects and deadlines, and basically overall project management is kind of a weakness of mine, okay? I do great when it comes to shoot, edit, deliver, take care of my clients, but any project I had on the side, the project management was a mess. It was like, the big idea, put it out into the world, wait and see what happens. But when I started outsourcing to my web designer first, she was my first hire, and then to my brand designer and my virtual assistant over time, okay, they were all spread out. What I started to realize is that my systems and my workflows had to totally change because someone else was depending on me to either get their work or have it turned around by a certain time. So I had to start thinking a little bit more ahead of time. So normally it would say, okay, blog post is going up on Wednesday. So here's everything I need to do by Wednesday. But now my thought process is, okay, Leslie, my assistant needs everything by Monday so that she can have it to me by Wednesday. So like it pushed up all of my deadlines and it didn't give me any wiggle room to not meet the deadlines. So if I tell my brand designer that I'm going to get her, all of the upcoming podcast episodes, we need the artwork, right? And I'm doing them in like batches of 3 to 4 episodes. So I have to go in and update our little Excel sheet. So if she is waiting on me to put the work into the Excel sheet, I have to come up with that content ahead of time, which is like going against nature for Liz Henson, okay? I am a week by week. I like to speak what's on my heart at the time. Planning content ahead of time has always been a struggle for me, but this has held me accountable to do that because I can't just send her one little assignment every week, okay? That's not fair for her workflow. But if I can send her the episode titles in batches of 3 to 4 at a time, it makes so much more sense for her. So now I'm having to plan out that content, even though it was a little difficult for me at first, so that I can hand those batches of work to her. I hope that's making sense. And it's amazing because that's actually creating less thinking for me, because I'm like, okay, well, I had to already come up with my next 3 episodes because I had to send them to Ilya, my designer, in time for her to create all of them. So now every Thursday comes up and I know that I'm recording a podcast and I already know what my topic is because I've had to give it to my team, which is a huge accountability piece that for my personality type is like I'm getting double the return on my investment in hiring a team. So I'm not just getting graphic design from my graphic designer, I'm getting that accountability and the structure in my workflow that I always needed. I just didn't know that was how to get it. So think about that. If you've been thinking about hiring and you're telling yourself you can't afford it, I want you to think about how much more you're going to get out of that experience than just the product or the service itself, because you're going to have to now be more accountable to giving them what they need so they can give you what you need in a timely manner. It's so crazy to me how that has worked. And it's almost like the bigger my team gets, the more productive we are. I mean, that makes sense, right? Obviously, but it's something I didn't really see coming back. I thought I was just going to outsource the work so that I didn't have to do it. But instead, it's making me more of a CEO type of role, and it's making me more efficient, and I'm getting so much more back on my investment. So it's almost like it becomes priceless, right? And of course I get the time back as well. So I'm finally outsourcing some of my editing with the photography end. And while those images are off being worked on, I'm working on something else. And then I get those back. I finish them up and then they go to the client, and I've gotten twice as much done. And I know that seems obvious, but it's truly incredible to see the difference. And I'm not noticing it in my bank account, if that makes you feel better. If you're having doubts or you're feeling like you can't afford it, I am not feeling a difference. In fact, I feel like my business is really thriving right now. So that's my first productivity tip. And I know that that's overwhelming if you feel like you are nowhere near ready to hire. But just think about that for down the road, that you're getting more than the actual service. You're getting an accountability. You're getting a system in place for your business, which is such a good thing long term. My second productivity tip is what I talked about a little bit last episode, which is scheduling in the things that you need to do, or batch working. I do a little bit of this. I love to have white space though, but I know that every Thursday is podcast day. So every Thursday I am launching the new podcast, but I'm also recording the next podcast. I'm always working about 1 to 2 weeks ahead of time, but I can batch record multiple episodes on a Thursday if I want to. I have a lot of flexibility, but I just know that Thursdays are podcast day no matter what. That's it. And if I have to call, or if I have some photography work that needs to be done, I'll let myself do it in the morning or maybe during nap time, but I really structure the rest of my week around not doing anything else on Thursdays but podcast stuff. So typically my photography stuff has already been done, or it's still within that week time frame to get it back to the client. And that has made a huge difference. And so my photography work is very heavy on Monday and Tuesdays, because usually I'm coming off of shooting over the weekend. So Mondays and Tuesdays are photography work. Wednesdays are for creative network, masterminds, that type of stuff, filling in the holes. If there's any overflow, that goes into Wednesdays as well. Thursdays are podcast day, and Fridays are fun Fridays. Now, sometimes there's work that doesn't get finished, and I do work on Fridays, but anything out of the office that I have to schedule, or self-care, if I'm going to get my massage or my brows done, I try to do that on Fridays so that I can have something to look forward to throughout the week. Okay, productivity tip number 3. This one is going to be no shock, as I feel like I mention this every single episode, but your community, your tribe, your accountability partners. I have become so much more productive ever since I have surrounded myself daily with women who also love to work from home, love to grow their businesses. And rather than talking about what went wrong with a client or a situation, or how they don't want to work, or they're not motivated, or, life is so hard. Instead, we're waking up every morning and we're saying, what's on your agenda today? What are you working on? We share our anxieties around the day and we set our goals together. And it's just that little teeny tiny piece of saying it out loud to somebody who gets it and somebody who wants to see you succeed on the other end. It really makes a difference. And I won't spend too much time about that because I do know that I talk about community a lot, and I talk about how important it is to surround yourself with people that make you better. But that totally spills into productivity. And I think sometimes people hear the word accountability buddy or accountability partner, and they get a little squeamish because they think that it's not okay to fail or it's not okay to fall short. And that's not true. If you have the right relationship or the right accountability partner, it is 110% okay to fall short. And having somebody to say that to that understands is going to be so much more beneficial than either not saying it at all, like not admitting it to yourself that you fell short, or being ashamed or feeling bad about yourself, right? When I fall short and I can tell my people in my life about it, they say, it is okay, Liz. Look at how you show up every other day. Look at the way that you show up. You deserve a day to not show up. You deserve a day to watch TV or watch your show or take a day out of the office. You deserve that because look at the way you show up every other day. And they can bring me back down to earth when I'm beating myself up over something that didn't get done. And they can remind me of all the things that I am accomplishing, because we need that sometimes, right? That's a form of support. It's a form of friendship, but it's friendships that make me better and friendships that accept me for the good days and the bad days. But they also make me more productive because we're all in this together and we all want the same result of success and business growth. All right, my next tip for you, tip number 4, is a little bit more of a mindset, but it's to get really clear on where we want to go, the clarity piece. If we're clear on what our end result is or what our next step is, it's so much easier to be productive and create that actionable roadmap to get there. And this was a huge mistake that I was making for so long, is that I was just taking business as it comes, right? Like, sure, I'll shoot this session. Sure, I've got a night open next week. Sure, I'll do that next Saturday. I was saying yes to everything because I wasn't really clear on where I wanted to go. I was just growing. And that's such an important piece, okay? That growth piece, the taking whatever we can to learn and experience is so important. So I'm not saying don't do that. But the more clear that you are on where you want to go, what you want this business model to look like, the easier it is to create those steps. So if you know that you want to shoot 4 times a month, and you don't really want more than that, or maybe that's just enough, once you've gotten those 4 things in the books, you can move on to something else. You can move on to the next month and the next month. And there's more of a clear start and end to each little milestone when we know where we're going. And it's so much easier to be productive when you can check things off and you know what that end result looks like. And I learned so much of that with projects like this podcast because I planned it so far in advance. I started in February and I said, I'm going to launch a podcast over the summer, probably like June or July. So I knew where I was going. So it was so much easier for me week by week to say, what do I need to do this week to get one step closer to launching? What do I need to do next week to get one step closer? Instead of just looking in the mirror saying, oh, it would be cool to start a podcast. Maybe I'll do that, in 3 months. And then sit down one day to work on it, but not really have that end result clear, if that makes sense. So the more clarity that we can have around what we want and what we want, whatever end results it is to look like, the easier it is to make productive and efficient steps to get there. All right, my last and final tip number 5, kind of rides on the tail feathers of tip number 4. But this is another opposite of what we would expect. And this tip is, don't overbook yourself and extend yourself so thin that you don't have the mental space or the actual time for the growth work in your business. And that's a place that I was stuck in for a very long time, of just client work every single week with shoot, edit, deliver, with nothing else. No other side projects were getting done. I had all these good ideas in my head, but no time to do them because I was overdoing it, right? And if you're really, really busy in your client work and in your business, that's probably a good opportunity to scale a little bit, raise your prices, book a little bit less. But the important piece is that we think we're being so productive because we're taking on so many clients, we're working so hard, we're being so productive, when really that's kind of staying in the same place, right? I mean, if you're brand new and you're practicing, by all means, take everything. That is how I learned. And I have zero regrets for the way that I spent years 1 to year 3. Zero regrets. I am all about that hustle. I'm all about learning. But if you're in a place where you're wanting to get more done, but you're like, but I'm so busy and I'm doing so much, you've got to schedule in that white space, the planning time and the not busy time, to do growth related things that will in the end make you more efficiently productive. Okay. Yes, I can be so productive and pump out 6 sessions in 1 week and give everything to my clients, and then the week is gone and I've done nothing else. Okay, I can do that. And that is productive, but is it our best version of productive? Is it the most efficient productive? Because I have found that since I've actually taken on less work in a way to grow my business in other places, it's growing my business as a whole, which is meaning more revenue, bigger team, getting closer and closer to those big CEO dreams. Because I actually scheduled less, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, 2 years ago, I would have been shooting 3 to 4 nights a week. And now I shoot probably 1, sometimes 2 times a week. We have had a lot of crazy weather and reschedules. So my schedule is not perfect, you guys. It is not perfect. I mean, I have 3, 4, 5 sessions this week. That never happens. But that's life. You know, we have rain, we have reschedules, and it happens. And even though I have 5 things to shoot this week, here's what I'm doing differently. I'm doing them in batches. So just yesterday, I shot a boudoir session, an engagement session, and then the same day, because boudoir can be done in the morning, the engagements can be done at night. I would have never thought to do that before. I would have said, that does not make sense. Why would I shoot 2 things on one day? I would never have done that, ever. But now I'm thinking of the big picture. I'm like, no, I would much rather have one busy day that's all shooting, and then the next day can be all editing, instead of in the office, out the office, in the office, out the office. So even though I'm super busy and took on more sessions this week than I normally would, I'm still doing it in a more productive way because I'm thinking about how I can do those batch works and those big blocks of time that make more sense. So, but not overbooking is a big piece. So whatever that looks like for you, whether it's easier to take 1 week off a month or an extra day here and there, or not even mean off, but time for your business, you've got to schedule that in, and you've got to give yourself the breathing room to grow. We can't grow if we're always in hustle burnout mode. It's counterproductive. It feels like it's productive because we're doing things, but overworking is actually counterproductive. Okay, that was 5 tips. I didn't even know I was going to have 5 tips for you guys today. So let's do a really quick recap. Tip number 1 was hiring a team is going to make you more productive because it holds you more accountable to create more efficient systems and workflows. This concept blows my mind, and this concept was the main reason I wanted to create this episode because it just shocked me that hiring people has made me more productive and doubled my investment in those people. The next one was scheduling in those dreams, scheduling in whatever it is that you want to do. I talked about this in episode 8 with my fitness goals. Schedule it in. Create dates with yourself to do the things that you really want to do. Even if you're so slammed you have to look at 6 months from now, schedule a date with yourself. Lots of dates with yourself. The third one was community. You guys know I'm such an advocate for the people that we hang out with. We are the average of the people that we hang out with. Our vibe attracts our tribe. Our community has the power to make us better and more productive. Number 4 was clarity. Getting really clear on those end results makes it so much easier to create that perfect roadmap to get there. I don't know why I said perfect because ain't nothing perfect here, but you know what I mean. The more clear we are, the easier it is to get there. And then the last one was don't overbook yourself. It feels like being busy is productive, but it's actually counterproductive. You're not going to maintain business and business growth if we stay in that place of hustle and busy. And then there's the easy ones like setting a timer, turning on the do not disturb on your phone or the airplane mode, whatever type of little self-discipline tricks that you need. When I really have to put my head down and get something done, I have had success with setting the timer. I like to do about an hour to 90 minutes, and I'm not allowed to look at my phone or do anything within that time frame. That definitely helps. Those are the more obvious productivity tips. But I'd love to hear from you and what makes you more productive. Come over to the Messy Squad and share it with us. You can find out how to join the Messy Squad at elizabethhensonphotos.com/podcast. I want to hear all your productivity tools because, like I said, I do not have it all together. I feel like I'm making strides, and I feel like it's easy to share because I'm in this right now. These are improvements that I'm striving to make every single day. It's not like I'm looking back and saying, man, 5 years ago, I really learned this. No, I learned this shit yesterday. And it's so easy to share because I'm having all these realizations as I go in real time. So I would love to hear what makes you more productive so that I can try your tips as well. Don't forget that you can always find different ways to work with me at elizabethhensonphotos.com/education. Okay, and it's time for our secret shout out. This week, I want to recognize somebody so special to me, Tatiana Hill. She is the owner of Teal Eagle Boutique. She was my second bride ever, you guys. My second wedding that I ever shot in September of 2013. And I adore her. She just hit her 1-year anniversary of opening her very own boutique. You can find it at tealeagleboutique.com. Tatiana has such an amazing fashion sense. I have loved seeing her business grow. I have loved following her journey. She's in our Hampton Roads Creative Network. If you are local to Hampton Roads and you're interested in finding out more about our creative network, you can go to elizabethhensonphotos.com/creative network and you can meet amazing people like Tatiana right there. She's so incredible. Make sure you check out her boutique, tealeagleboutique.com, and you can follow her on Instagram and Facebook at Teal Eagle Boutique. She's got some amazingly cute clothes. I'm always stalking her pop-up sales and her Facebook group and seeing what she has because this girl just knows how to put outfits together. She's so kind. I love the way that she puts her heart on social media and she speaks up about things that are important to her. And whenever she catches me putting my heart on my sleeve, she'll always send me a message that's encouraging or kind or just let me know that she hears me. And that's so important, right? That we hear each other and that we tell our neighbors and our friends like, hey, I see you and I hear you and you're doing amazing things. So don't forget that you can change somebody's day by simply telling them that, by telling them that you see them or that you hear them or that you love what they're up to. So hopefully you'll go out and do that, share your success story with me, and I will see you next week for another episode. Have a great day, you guys.